What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Emmanuel Keenan. Today, you see it in the title, we will be doing a comparison between the Apollo Twin and the Zen Go. I know it's a highly requested video. Well, nobody really requested the video, but when I type it in the search bar on YouTube, I see that it's highly requested. So I figured, let me go ahead and do it, fam. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Fade that like button, 'cause we a movement, boy. Let's get it. All right, you guys, so we're going to break this video down into a few segments. I did this before and I was having a little bit of problems with it, but I finally got it. You know what I'm saying? Practice makes perfect. So this is how we're going to break it down. We're going to go over the Apollo Twin. Then we're going to go over the Zen Go. Then we're going to go over the similarities of both of them. Then we're going to go over the differences of both of them. Then we're going to go into a sound test. And then we're going to go into the pros and cons of both devices. And then after that, I will give you guys my evaluation on how I feel about both of them and which one I think sounds better, give or take, and which one I prefer over give or take, man. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's get into the Apollo Twin. So starting off for the Apollo Twin, it is a great looking sound card. There's no doubt about it. I love the way that it looks. I love the functionalities, everything that it has to offer. It's just a great looking audio interface. If we go over the functionalities of it, you have your input, you have your low pass filter, you have 48 volts for phantom power. You can actually pad your input 20 decibels if you'd like. I believe that's the automatic pad on there, if I'm not mistaken. You have your linear phasing, and you can actually link both of your inputs for stereo monitoring. So that is super duper dope. If you switch over to your monitor setting, you actually have a few functionalities as well. You can talk to your artist as you're recording. You can dim the monitoring if you'd like, meaning that, you know, the levels aren't as loud. You can dim them, right? And then you have a mono setting. So if you want to mix in mono, you can literally press that button and you got a mono setting. And you could also mute the monitoring as well. So all of those are super duper convenient. We love it. And that's what I really love about the Apollo Twin and its functionalities. Now, to go over the front of the interface and the exterior of the Apollo Twin, we have the high Z input, and we also have a headphone output for the front so that you can monitor your audio as you are recording. On the back of the interface for the Apollo Twin, we have two mic line preamp inputs. We have 4 line outputs, so you can actually outsource to, of course, your monitors, and you can add extra monitors on there, or you can do it how I use it, and you can use the other line outputs for external hardware processing. I actually hybrid mix using an Audio Mimas compressor, so you can do that as well. There's a lot of things that you can do with the Apollo Twin. And then on the back, you actually have an ADAT optical line output that allows you to expand if you'd like to. So you can actually expand to a different interface so that you have multiple inputs. So that is super duper dope. And then of course you got your DC adapter for the back of the interface so that it works, because if you don't have that, it won't work. And then we also have, of course, the Thunderbolt connectivity. If you have a Mark II, I believe it requires a Thunderbolt 2, and if you have a Mark III, then I believe it requires Thunderbolt 3 connectivity. I don't know the difference between both of them, but that's what you have, right? The only thing that I don't like about the Apollo Twin is that it doesn't include an actual cable to go along with it, and it's expensive as hell. So let's talk about the pricing of the Apollo Twin. It comes in at a whopping $1,000. That's not even to include the tax. We're not including tax. We're not including the insurance that Guitar Center tries to offer you in order to protect the device. We're not including everything else that you might have to buy with it, including a Thunderbolt cable. How you gonna pay me? How you gonna charge me $1,000 and you don't have a Thunderbolt cable to go along with the device? I don't understand that. It don't make no type of sense. The Thunderbolt cable is literally like, I think 10 to 15 bucks. Bro, include it, fam. You already are charging us an arm and a leg. We not rich. Don't do that to us. And of course, I forgot to mention, you have a gain knob, a main gain knob in the middle of it so that you can control, you know, the decibel level and the levels of everything that Apollo Twin has to offer. So yeah. Okay, man, so let's go ahead and talk about the internals of the Apollo Twin. The Apollo Twin is dope. I actually really like it because it's priced so high because it has its own internalized computer processing within the actual audio interface. The downside of it is that because it has that processing in its own computer, it runs hot. I don't think it has a fan inside of it, so it runs hot. You got to make sure that you keep that device away from everything else that you have a part of of your home studio setup. If you do, it's got dual core processing. At least that's the one that I purchased. It goes up to quad core. I'm not finna get into the intricacies of it because I don't even know how to get into the intricacies of it. But all I know is that if you have dual core processing, you have a certain amount of CPU that you can use when you apply real-time audio plugins on your audio interface. Now, if you go into the quad core, you got the big boy. You can apply, I don't know how many audio plugins you can apply before it starts to overload, but that's the difference between dual core and quad core. I have dual core. I don't got quad core money. So I got dual core, and from my understanding, you can only apply about 6 to 8 real-time plugins before it starts to overload. You start to push that limit, and the twin gonna let you know about it. And to go into more on the internals, it actually does have real-time audio plugins. Now, this is what I'll say. The real-time audio plugins for the Apollo Twin sound absolutely amazing. They sound great. We love them. However, it changes. So if you set up your Apollo Twin, you got everything going, you're getting ready to record, and it says, hey, you have these amount of real-time audio plugins that you can use, and then you try to start using them, and then you can't use them. I don't understand why Universal Audio does that. I literally don't get it. Why are you changing? Just state, I believe that's false advertising. I'm gonna keep it 100,000, fam. I think that's false advertising. If you say we're gonna get these plugins, then let us use them, bro. I don't understand that, but that's how Universal Audio is working, so it is what it is. I will say, though, with the real-time audio plugins that they do have to offer, they do sound great. So I'm not finna take that away from them. It sounds absolutely amazing. But, bro, like, if you're gonna say something, like say it and let us use it. So that's how I feel about that. You can utilize whatever you want to utilize, but that's that. The Apollo Twin also records 24-bit at 192 kilohertz. That is the resolution of the audio recording. It's high resolution audio. Then it also comes with a Luna recording system. I get mixed reviews about the Luna recording system. Some say that it's kind of like a DAW, a digital audio workstation, but then, you know, some of the features about it, I haven't even used it, but some say some of the features don't really equate to Logic or Pro Tools or any of the industry standard DAWs, so use that at your own will. I haven't used it before, but some also say that the Luna recording system is actually pretty dope. So I don't know. I ain't never used it before. I'm a Logic user, as you guys can clearly see on the computer. I'm a Logic user, so So as far as the Zen Go is concerned, it is coming in at a whopping $500. Like I said before, we're not talking about taxes. We're not talking about the insurance that Guitar Center offers you, but it is coming in at $500, and that is significantly cheaper than the Apollo Twin, but it's an amazing sound card. I love the Zen Go and what it did. Let's go ahead and go over the externals of the Zen Go. We have 3 knobs on the Zen Go, right? So it's significantly less than the Apollo Twin, but we have the gain knob, our headphone and monitor knob, and then we have our main Antelope LCD display knob, as well as the gain knob. Now, with the Zen Go, there's actually things about it that you can use that's not necessarily shown on the front of the interface. So with the gain, you can monitor, of course, your input with the mic, you can monitor your line levels, and you can monitor your high Z inputs. You can also control the phantom power with the gain knob as well. All you have to do is press and hold the gain knob, and then it will automatically trigger the phantom power so that you can use the Zen Go. I had no idea. I had to find that out, which is absolutely wild, but I feel like not many creators showed y'all that about the Zen Go, but there you go. If you have a Zen Go, that's what you got to do. So for the headphone and the monitoring output, of course, you switch between the headphone and the monitors. However, with that, you can actually use the dimming function. I didn't know this as well, but you can actually use the dimming function with the headphone and a monitor button as well. You just have to press the gain knob, press and hold the gain knob if I'm not mistaken, and you can dim the monitor output, which is something I had no idea about. And how about this? You can mute the monitor output as well. If you do the same function with the headphone monitor output, you just have to press it, I believe. I guess technically it's kind of like a secret function, which is crazy, but that's literally what it is. And then, of course, you have your main Antelope display, which shows, of course, your monitoring for anything that you're recording into. And if you press the main gain knob on that one, I think that just controls the brightness. I mean, it's still super dope. We love it. We love the Zen Go. We love the Zen Go around here. It's not gonna be no Zen Go slander around here. So for the front of the interface, you have two headphone outputs. If we go into the back of the interface, we see that we have two mic preamps, of course, and then they also converge into line input, and you actually have your high-Z input as well. Then you have two TRS outputs, balanced, of course, and then you have your two RCA outputs, which means that you can connect speakers to the back of it, and then you also have your SPDIF in and out digital coaxial so that you can expand on the amount of preamps that you can have. This is what people kind of get wrong about the Zen Go. That is not Thunderbolt. It has a Thunderbolt sign somewhat in the back of the Zen Go, but that's actually not Thunderbolt. You're using that for an outsourcing of like an iPhone or a tablet or whatever the situation is in case you want to record. That's why it's called the Zen Go. It's not a Thunderbolt connectivity. I'm gonna let y'all know that right now. If y'all watching this video, it's not Thunderbolt. That's what that is for. And then of course it's USB-C, yeah, no, I was right. UBC, UBS, no, USB, yeah. It's USB-C power, so you can plug that into the back of your computer and it will automatically work. That is what you have for the Zen Go. I'm not necessarily sure if I talked about the main gain. I did talk about the gain knob. That's what I said the whole time. That's the external of the Zen Go, okay? Let's go ahead and get into the internals of the Zen Go. So for the internals of the Zen Go, it actually has 48 voltage. Phantom power, of course, is what you want to use for recording. And it also has 37 real-time audio plugins. And it literally has 37 of them. They not finna do no boo-boo, no fake stuff when it comes down to the plugins that you actually get. It ain't always changing. If it says it's got that many plugins, that's how many the Zen Go got. It got 37 real-time audio plugins, and they sound absolutely amazing. I love them. I love them. I don't use them. I'm not a person that really uses real-time audio plugins, but you can use them at your disposal if you'd like, and they sound great. So that's what the Zen Go has to offer. It also has a console that's embedded within it so that you can monitor everything you got going on whenever you're recording. And it also has imperceivable latency, which means that there's a little bit of latency there when you're recording, but you can't necessarily hear it as you're recording. And it also actually has 3 analog to digital converters that's located inside of it. And for whatever reason, those are professional converters that you can find in the higher grade Antelope hardware, which I guess is dope. But then I did some research on it, and analog to digital converters aren't really that important when it comes down to audio interfaces in these sound cards. So if that is a determining factor you're trying to like use as far as the differences between the two, it's not really a huge one. I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you, man. I did my research. So if you want to use it for that, though, by all means, go crazy. All right, man. So we went over the Apollo Twin. We went over the Zen Go. We went over the internals and the externals of it. But there is a few things that I forgot to mention about the Apollo Twin, actually. The Apollo Twin, and this is one of the hugest things that they market, and I don't know why I didn't talk about this, but the Apollo Twin has 0 latency. I had one of my audio engineering friends come in, and we was playing with the Apollo Twin, hearing how it sounded, and when we applied those plugins and when we actually listened to the monitoring in the headphones, we said, yo, this is scary good. Like, this is really weird how like you literally don't hear any delay in the headphones when you apply these plugins, and just listening to it in general, like, it's great. And it also offers a UAD console as well, so that you can monitor recording and levels and things like that. If you're recording artists or if you're recording yourself, it has a UAD console for that. So that is dope. I mean, both offer consoles. And now that we're talking about what both have to offer, let's go ahead and get into the similarities of the external. Right, we'll get into the internal, but let's talk about the similarities of the external when it comes down to both of these sound cards. So both of these sound cards are both great looking. We love the way both of them look. I don't really, like, none of them ugly, you know. So I love the way that both of these sound cards look. They both have a main gain knob, all right, and they both have an LCD display, and they have a headphone and monitor control, right? They both have headphone outputs. They both have 2 mic preamps, high Z compatibility, and they both have TRS outputs as well. They have extra line outputs for additional speakers. They have the ability to expand the preamps so you can use more inputs than it actually has to offer for the initial hardware, so that's a good thing to have. And they both have an input function for monitoring. They both record 48 volts for phantom power. You can dim the monitors with both of them, which is dope, and you can mute the monitors with both of them, which is dope. Now, like I said before, with the Zen Go, you don't know that. You literally don't. With the buttons that it has to offer, you would have never guessed that, bro. You would have never guessed that, but it literally has it. You just gotta find it, which is, you know, I guess good and bad in its own right, but you know, that's what both of them have to offer. So as far as the similarities within the internal, they both have real-time plugins. They both record 24-bit at 192 kilohertz, which, like I said before, is kind of the standard for audio interfaces, so that's super dope. And then they both have a console software that you can monitor while recording. Let's go ahead and get into the differences of the externals, right? And these are some significant differences, if I say so myself. Now, with the Apollo Twin and the Zen Go, it's the ability to locate each function, okay? You can see on the Apollo Twin what it has and what it has to offer. It literally shows you right there on the LCD display. It has a talkback button, you know, you can dim the monitors, you've got mono, you can do it in mute, you know, it has all of that. You can literally see everything. It shows you everything. With the Zen Go, you gotta look. You know, you literally got to look, you got to find it. And then you have to press things, you got to press and hold things. That's kind of difficult, bro. I'm not going to lie to you, fam. With the Apollo Twin, it literally has it right there in front of you. With the Zen Go, you don't have that. Now, with the Apollo Twin, you have a low-pass filter. You got a low-pass filter on the Apollo Twin. You don't have that on the Zen Go. You have a pad input with the Apollo Twin. You don't have that on the Zen Go, which means when you monitor and you're recording, you can pad that input if you'd like to. I don't necessarily see the significance of it, but you can use it. And then you also have linear phasing on the Apollo, and you don't have that on the Zen Go. You can link both inputs with the Apollo to get stereo. You don't have that with the Zen Go. And then with the monitoring aspect, you can literally go into mono on the Apollo Twin, and you can't go into mono with the Zen Go. But I mean, is it really that important? You can literally go into mono on your software if you have Pro Tools, Logic, Studio One. Like, you can literally, there's a plugin where you can go into mono for that. So I don't know if that's a huge difference, but I mean, I guess it's convenient, right? Because you can go on the Apollo Twin and press it. In the Zen Go, you can't do that. Now, let's go ahead and get into the differences for the external of the Zen Go. You have 2 high Z inputs for the Zen Go. You do not have 2 high Z inputs for the Apollo Twin. Okay, there's only one, so you can really go crazy with the guitar. You feel me? Was that? That's a little corny, but you have 2 headphone outputs on the Zen Go, and you don't have that on the Apollo Twin. You have 2 line outs for monitoring on the Zen Go, and for the Apollo Twin, you have 4 line outs. With the Zen Go, you have RCA outs, which you can use for extended monitoring as well, but with the Apollo Twin, you have 4 TRS, okay? You have 4 TRS and you have 2 TRS for the Zen Go. Let's talk about it. So with the Zen Go, if you have 2 TRS, you can extend with the RCA outputs that it has to offer in combination with that, but you can't extend as much. With the Apollo Twin, you have 4 TRS line outputs, and you can literally expand with more of a capability, more so than the Zen Go. And plus, RCA outputs are kind of getting a little bit outdated with the Zen Go. So I think you have the advantage of the Apollo Twin when it comes down to that in that regard. Now, the differences between the external and the rear end is the ADAT and the SPDIF connection. So with the ADAT, it's an optical line input that allows you to expand when it comes down to the mic preamps. With the Zen Go, you have SPDIF connection, which gives you the ability to expand with inputs, but it doesn't give you, you are limited in that aspect. And also with SPDIF digital coaxial, even though they translate in a more higher resolution when it comes down to audio, it's going out of style, okay? I'm gonna keep it 100,000 with you, man. It's not really as compatible with things as we transform. I don't know what word I'm looking for. The Apollo Twin is more built for the more modern era. Now with the Zen Go, you have USB-C powered, and with the Apollo Twin, you have Thunderbolt connectivity, and those are the differences between the external in that regard, right? So the differences in the internal. The Apollo Twin offers digital plugins, which means that you can literally go on and record your audio and go into your plugins and apply them, okay? With the Zen Go, it does not have that. They have real-time audio plugins, which means you can use those plugins as you're recording, but you cannot apply them after you get through recording. However, there is a way that you can actually manipulate the input and the output processing to where you can use the Zen Go plugins for post-processing, but you gotta go through a whole bunch of steps in order to reroute it and configure it so that you can do that. If you want to, you can, but it's a lot more convenient to just apply digital plugins that the Apollo Twin has to offer, and they sound absolutely amazing. The Apollo Twin also offers a recording system. Zen Go does not. The Apollo Twin has 0 latency. The Zen Go has imperceivable latency. Now, I'm gonna tell you this. If you listen to both of them and their latency differences, you can't really tell unless you've heard both of them. Okay, so with the Zen Go, you can listen to it and be like, man, I don't really hear much latency with this. But then when you hear the Apollo Twin, you're like, oh, now I get it. Now I see why the Zen Go says imperceivable, and I see why the Apollo Twin says 0 latency, because you literally can tell the difference between both of them once you hear them. I'm not saying that it's bad. Both of them have great latency aspects to them, but the Apollo Twin definitely wins in that regard. With the Apollo Twin, you have internal processing. You can literally use this sound card for real-time audio plugins, and it won't overload. It won't stop on you. You won't slow down, because it's literally its own computer, which is why it's so expensive. With the Zen Go, it's USB-C powered, so you're going to be using the CPU within your computer. So when you actually apply digital audio plugins along with your real-time audio plugins, your computer is going to be like, bruh, chill out. The Zen Go offers more real-time audio plugins than the Apollo Twin has to offer. The Zen Go actually has professional analog to digital converters within it. If anybody knows the converters in the Apollo Twin, please let me know down in the comment section, because I'm not necessarily sure. But the Apollo Twin, to my knowledge, doesn't have the AD converters that the Zen Go has to offer when it comes down to the internals of both sound cards, right? That is the similarities and differences, and then we went over both of the sound cards and what they have to offer with the external and the internal. Let's go ahead and hop into the sound test. I'm gonna give you guys a rendition, if that is a word to explain what I'm getting ready to do, but I'm gonna give you guys, I guess, a performance of both of the sound cards. I'm gonna show you guys what it sounds like with and without plugins. It's not gonna be real-time audio plugins, but I'll give you guys a little mini sound test of what they sound like with and without. So let's go ahead and get into it. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the sound test of the Apollo Twin and the Zen Go. What I have for you guys today is 2 takes of an intro that I recorded a long time ago. Well, I actually recorded this, of course, for the video, but this is an intro that I had a long time ago. I don't use it anymore. And these are 2 vocal takes of the Apollo Twin and the Zen Go, and I just want to show you guys how they sound with and without the beat. And then I'm also going to show you guys how they sound with plugins and without plugins. So without further ado, let's hop straight into it. What I'm going to play now is the Apollo Twin without the beat and no plugins. So let's bypass these. This does have auto-tune on here just to have a little bit of pitch correction. I can't sing, y'all, but, you know, just want to throw some pitch correction on there so that I don't sound too crazy. But let's go ahead and get into it. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition that cannot stop us. We the gang and it's the coalition. So that is the Apollo Twin without plugins, just a dry signal. We'll go to the Zen Go and we will play it with a dry signal without plugins. Now, I have a gain plugin on here because I wanted to make sure that both of the levels were equal so that we had a fair competition amongst both of the audio interfaces. So that's why I have the gain on here. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition that cannot stop us. We the gang and it's the coalition. That's the Zen Go. I'll play the Apollo Twin one more time so that you guys can hear that. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition that cannot stop us. We the gang and it's the coalition. So it's up to y'all what you guys think it sounds better. I mean, I think they both sound similar in their regards. So it's up to y'all. Now let's go ahead and play it with the beat. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition. They cannot stop us, we the gang and it's the coalition. Let's go ahead and activate the Zen Go, and this is with the beat as well. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition. They cannot stop us, we the gang and it's the coalition. So that is the Zen Go dry. Now let's hear them with the plugins activated, but this is going to be without the beat. And this is the Apollo Twin that you're hearing right now. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition. They cannot stop us, we the gang and it's the coalition. So the vocal take that I have on the Apollo Twin wasn't, I guess, as good as the Zen Go. But I think it still sounds absolutely amazing. Don't judge what you guys hear based off of my vocal performance. I would listen to the transients and how the audio signal is processing. Just focus on the actual quality of the sound, not the quality of the person singing it. So let's go ahead and get into the Zen Go. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition. They cannot stop us, we the gang and it's the coalition. So that is the Zen Go. Now let's go ahead and play the Apollo Twin with the beat and the plugins activated. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition. They cannot stop us, we the gang and it's the coalition. That is the Apollo Twin. Let's go ahead and play the Zen Go. Don't underestimate the power of this inhibition. They cannot stop us, we the gang and it's the coalition. I think it's really interesting. I think the Zen Go, for instance, is really wide. Sounds, full, more in the front, I guess you could say. And then the Apollo Twin sounds very tight and very focused and concise. So they both have great sounds. I love them both, It's just preference on what you guys think is better. But that is the sound test of the Apollo Twin and the Zen Go. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think sounds the best. I like them both. So I'm not finna give y'all my verdict until the end of the video. All right, y'all. So that was the sound test. I know it wasn't a very, very long one, but this video, as you guys can clearly see, is going to be long in itself. So I'll do something aside from that so that you guys can get a little bit more in-depth look on the sound cards and how both of them perform. But that's what we got. Tell me what y'all think. Do y'all like the Zen Go or do y'all like the Apollo Twin? Let me know down below. We're going to go ahead and go over the pros and cons of both of them, right? We're going to determine, what we like about them, what we don't necessarily like about them in terms of my experience, right? My personal experience. And I will give you guys what sound card I prefer over which at the end of the video, right? So with the pros and cons of the Apollo Twin, with the pros, the plugins are not cheap. We don't like that, but they sound absolutely amazing. I love the way the Apollo Twin sounds when it comes down to the plugins. Now, the zero latency that the Apollo Twin has to offer is absolutely ridiculous, man. When you literally hear the difference between the latency of both sound cards, it's absolutely wild, fam. With the Apollo Twin, you actually have the access to all the dials on the Apollo Twin, whereas with the Zen Go, you don't necessarily have that, right? And it's like, bro, I know it was built to compete with the Apollo Twin, but the Apollo Twin wins in that regard. You can literally see all of the dials. With the Zen Go, you gotta go through secret functions. With the cons of the Apollo Twin, this is what I'll say. No matter what anybody necessarily says, the Apollo Twin doesn't really work well in terms of compatibility. It's made for Macs. You can't use the Apollo Twin on a Windows as you could be able to use it on a Mac. I will say that the setup for the Apollo Twin was a little bit difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you. I had to go through a whole bunch of security preferences and allow certain things to be able to work and be compatible with my Mac and everything like that. So even the setup was a little bit difficult for the Apollo Twin on a Mac, but I got over it. And I don't like the fact that it doesn't have a Thunderbolt cable. Why don't you have a Thunderbolt cable, a universal audio? Come on, man. We spend too much money on this. You need to include a Thunderbolt cable. With the plugins, right, I have a love and hate relationship with the plugins because it allows you to have some, but then it allows you to not have some, which is kind of trash. I don't like that. And also, too, you have to search for the digital plugins that you can use post-processing. Post-recording, you have to search for the digital audio plugins that you have to use with the Apollo Twin, because once you install everything, it automatically installs all the plugins that UAD has to offer, and you have to go through like 600 plugins in order to see which ones you can use and which ones you can't use for the Apollo Twin. Now, like I said, you can go to the back of the box and see which ones you can use, but as I said before, they're always changing, so there's no surefire way to know what plugins are which. So that's something that I don't necessarily like about the Apollo Twin. Now, would I recommend it? Yes and no. Okay, I'm gonna keep it 100,000 with you. Would I recommend it for the compatibility of Mac? Yes. Would I recommend it for Windows? No, because as I said before, and I have actually a couple of homeboys that's had this problem, the Apollo Twin is a pain when you're trying to deal with Windows, okay? I've heard it way too often. And I also recommend it if you want to become a better engineer and you don't necessarily want to stay in a home studio, or if you want to expand your home studio. So the Apollo Twin gives you the ability to be able to expand mic preamps. You can outsource for hybrid mixing. You can use EQs, you can use compressors, you can use saturators, you can use levelers. You can use a lot of things when it comes down to the Apollo Twin. And if you want to expand and become a better engineer, I definitely recommend it in that regard. As far as the pros and cons of the Zen Go, let's go ahead and hop right into that. With the pros of the Zen Go, I like the fact that the real-time audio plugins are free. I love that fact. You don't have to necessarily worry about what is used and what's not used. It literally says 37 real-time audio plugins, and you got all 37 of them to use. And what I like about it even more is that when it shows you the plugins that aren't able to be used, they have like a little dimming thing on it that shows that you can't use them, and you can't, like, I love that fact. You literally can't even click on it and apply it. So I love that Zen Go offers that. With the Apollo Twin, you don't know if you can use it or not unless you click on it and you see that it doesn't work. So I love the fact that the Zen Go has that. I think that's a huge difference when it comes down to the real-time audio plugins. Now, it's also compatible with Mac and Windows for the Zen Go. Zen Go is literally made for what the word is. You can plug it in and you can go. So that's what's dope about the Zen Go. The setup is super duper easy. Okay, I didn't have any problems like I had with the Apollo Twin as far as the setup. It shows you what you do for the instructions. You get started, you do everything that you need to do, and you're ready to go. So I love that about it. Now, you don't have to restart it either. With the Apollo Twin, since I guess it operates off of a DC adapter and Thunderbolt connectivity, you literally have to restart the computer every single time every single time you want to use the Apollo Twin. With the Zen Go, you don't got to do that. You can literally plug it in and it automatically connects and you're ready to go. You don't have to restart the computer. So I love that about it. And it actually comes with the actual cables that is needed. I love the fact that the Zen Go has that. The Zen Go is USB-C powered, right? So that means that a USB-A is not going to be compatible. You have to have an adapter that comes along with it, and the Zen Go includes that. You don't have to worry about it. Whereas with the Apollo Twin, it doesn't have a Thunderbolt connectivity cable in there. You have to buy it, and that's crazy. Like, that's wild. So I like the fact that the Zen Go has that to offer. I also like the fact that the Zen Go has 2 headphone outputs so that I can monitor what the artist is recording as they're recording it. The Apollo Twin does not have that. I don't like that fact. I would love for them to actually add 2 headphone outputs on there so that it gives us that ability. I love the fact that the Zen Go has that. Now, as far as the cons of the Zen Go, it's not as compatible when wanting to compare your studio, okay? That's unfortunate, but it's the truth. You can use it, and it does have some capabilities in the back that you can use for external hardware and things like that, but it's not to the degree of the Apollo Twin. So if you want to expand, I recommend using the Apollo Twin over the Zen Go. Now, there's limited features on the front of the interface as well for the Zen Go. You have to find secret monitoring functions, and you have to press and hold certain things in order to make certain things work. Whereas with the Apollo Twin, the LCD display is just there, okay? It shows you what you can use and what you can't use. The Zen Go, you kind of got to read and find out certain things in order for that to work. The Zen Go doesn't have its own processing as far as real-time audio plugin, so if you apply it, then like I said before, you're gonna overload your computer. Your computer is gonna go absolutely crazy. It's gonna be like, bro, like you gotta stop on this, right? So the Apollo Twin actually have its own internal processing when using real-time audio plugins, which is super dope. I like that about it. The Zen Go doesn't have zero latency, okay? It has imperceivable latency, but it doesn't have zero latency. That's not really like a huge thing because like I said before, you can hear the difference, but I mean, what's like a couple milliseconds or whatever the difference might be. I didn't go that in depth into it, but you know, it's not that much of a difference, right? Would I recommend the Zen Go? Absolutely, positively, yes. I recommend it for both the Mac and Windows, man. It gives you the ability to be able to record on both of them. You can expand as if you want to on your studio. Like you can't expand as much as the Apollo Twin, but you definitely can expand if you'd like with the Zen Go. And overall, it's just a great sounding interface, man. Both of them are great sounding interfaces. That actually leads me to my final point on what sound card do I actually recommend. I actually prefer, which is crazy because you would think I have more cons for the Apollo Twin more so than the Zen Go, but I actually recommend using the Apollo Twin. I'll say this though, there's not much of a difference when it comes down to the audio aspect of it, right? If you guys heard the sound test, I don't know what you guys heard, but with me, it's not much of a difference. The Zen Go and the Apollo Twin both sound great. As far as the audible differences, it's kind of neck and neck to me. That's how I look at it. Okay, so it's not really much of a difference. I love the Zen Go. If you want to use the Zen Go to expand as far as your studio is concerned, you can use it. But like I said, you just kind of have limited capabilities when it comes down to the expansion, more so than the Apollo Twin. But when Antelope built this audio interface, in competition for the Apollo Twin, I will say that they did a magnificent job at doing it, man, because there are some things I absolutely love about the Zen Go that I absolutely hate about the Apollo Twin. And for that reason, I definitely recommend it for those that, you know, want to kind of upgrade from the Focus Scarlett and kind of get and more into the functionalities of things that they can use in order to expand if you want to go that route. And also too, man, if you're just looking for compatibility, if you're looking for something that you know is going to work, that you're not going to have too much problems with, and you love using real-time audio plugins, I definitely recommend the Zen Go. Me personally, I like the Apollo Twin over the Zen Go, but I'm kind of biased because of course I have a Mac and things were able to work better for me more so than if I had a Windows. If I had a Windows computer, I might have just chose a Zen Go over the Apollo Twin. So I guess it all comes down to preference and what you like and what you don't like. Thank you guys so much for rocking out with me, man. I really do appreciate this. This was great. I loved doing this. I love doing this review. If you guys got anything else you want me to review, please comment down below. This video was going to be long, bro. I ain't even gonna lie to you. This video was going to be long, but I definitely enjoyed researching and doing this stuff for you guys, man. So like I said before, if you got anything that you want me to review, please comment down below. I will try to get to it if I can. I also offer mixing and mastering services. If you guys want to indulge in that, then please, serious inquiries only, hit me in the description and I'll definitely be sure to get back to you, man. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'm gonna see y'all in the next video, fam. Gang.